Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of the Good Luck Go Fast podcast. My name is Stormcrow56K, and I am here to let you know that this episode of Good Luck Go Fast is sponsored in part by Mothers Against Dirty Glitchers. Sure, we all want to beat the game faster, but at what cost? The cost of our children? Visit dirtyglitchers.zoop.gov to learn more about the true cost of glitching.
Such an important message.
So happy. With me tonight, as always, is my trusty co-host, the greatest at getting good, the anchorman of Madman, Zorilla33.
What is up, Stormy? Always good to see you. Always good to be here with you.
Right? It feels like it's been like a month since we did this last.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, I think it's actually slightly more than a month, but alas. Yeah, what's going on with you, man? What have you been up to?
Well, I see on the notes here under what's going on with me that you, I assume, wrote calf implants. I don't know how you knew about that.
Is that okay? I was gonna say, yeah.
I thought we were keeping that under wraps, but you got to fill out those rust gray cords. So
Yeah.
Other than that, just learning Zelda 1. Got that big, barely over 40 PB today.
Woo!
My scratcher game was declared not rigged, which was important to me. And I don't know if you heard this or not, Storm, but I actually got a sub 5 in Super Mario 1.
Oh, wow. GG. Congrats.
Thank you, Stormy. What's going on with you?
Well, so was that who declared that not rigged, by the way?
That was some of my constituency.
Utah Gaming Commission, were they involved?
Yeah, it was the UGC.
Okay. All right. Quite a bit's been going on with me. I learned Castlevania 1. That was a lot of fun. Got an 11:45 and I'm out.
Yep. That was really fun to watch, by the way.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I really enjoyed the game, but it's just I think I'd go crazy if I tried to grind it anymore. I'm back to Little Nemo. We'll find out why later in the Hot Records section. I've been doing some rollerblading streams off and on, which is a lot of fun. People seem to enjoy it. I'm trying to stay active, like it's 1991. And I've been playing a little Dreamcast too. So
yeah, that was pretty entertaining seeing some of those Dreamcast games.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I got like drunk out of nowhere too, so that anyways, but yeah, and then we're gonna move on to news here in a second, but before we get started, just want to let you know that we will be having the esteemed Bobby, aka TheBlackTastic, on for our guest here in a little bit, so everybody get pumped for Bobby and stick around.
Yeah, and happy Juneteenth also, Stormy.
Yes. So for anyone unfamiliar, this today, June 19th, is celebrating basically the emancipation of all remaining slaves, and specifically like the last remaining enslaved African Americans in the Confederacy in Texas is when when this happened on June 19th.
Yeah, that's so I think that was a Texas holiday for a while. I actually didn't know about it until just probably a few years ago, but I think that's one that's got to spread. That's got to be nationwide. Yeah,
I actually saw earlier that there are some people proposing something, to try and get it to be a national holiday. So hopefully that does happen. I actually had it off. I work for a pretty big corporation, and they did give it to us for the entire company, which was awesome.
That's great.
Yeah. Happy Juneteenth. We're going to go ahead and jump into news and such. So I'm sure all of you have heard about this, but Sgdq, Summer Games Done Quick, online only. Shocker. August 16th through the 23rd.
I don't think it's probably too surprising, but still sort of makes everything feel different. It's definitely weird to think of that being an online event.
Yeah, thankfully they're still doing it. It's I think most of us could have called this a long time ago that this is what was going to happen, but and submissions are closed now, so you blew it if you were trying to submit. Doing our monthly RGL Retro Gaming Live check-in. Our good friends over there at RGL, they're still running Retrothon repeats. So if you can't find anything good to watch, pop into RGL. Always something nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
So the Vonot, the last Vonot versus One Night Only tournament, Baseball Stars 2, June 27th. That's the arcade game.
Cool.
And then finally moving on to the Konitz Knockout One Night Only tournament, Ninja Gaiden July 18th. That one's going to be huge.
Yeah. I hear that there's a lot of entries into that one, so that'll be a fun one to check out.
Yeah, I think there's a slightly bigger community for Ninja Gaiden versus Baseball Stars 2 arcade.
Right.
And on that note, the next Konot and Television Bomb Squad on July 25th. Sure. It talks.
It talks.
Other RGL news, the Nescathlon 2020 was just announced. That's going to be July 11th at 1 p.m.
Yeah, and you can see the list there. I think there was a lot of, at first people were like, wow, this is a weird list. And I actually think it is a little bit different, but it's really cool. It's kind of a lot of other stuff and then one huge ending game. I think that'll be really fun to watch.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there's some disagreement from a lot of people whether or not that's a good list. I can see both sides, honestly.
Yeah.
And obviously anyone who already knows Zelda 2 is going to have an advantage, but it is 100% all keys, so I don't know how different that is. Honestly, I don't know what the main category is, to be honest.
Also, I mean, every marathon, people go into it with an advantage based on what games they've run in the past.
Sure.
So, but yeah, in this case, it's a little bit more because that really is like the anchor of the whole list. But I don't know, it's something different. I kind of like it.
Yeah, some good games on there, and then Mario's Time Machine.
Yeah.
All right, what else? So the Super Smash TV tournament ended. First place, Dark Lord Gonzo, and our good friend 40 Watt Range taking second place.
Yeah, and that was an extremely fun tournament to watch. I had a really good time watching that tournament, and the final matchup between Gonzo and 40 was crazy. It went down to the wire, and they were all really good matches. So that was a lot of fun. GGs to everybody who participated in that.
Yeah, and the organizers too, GG Speedruns. Shout out to them, Brycel, for putting that together as well. Really, really fun. Can't wait till next year. Hopefully I can join in. We got the Mega Man 4 tournament still going on, but hosted by Look and Toad, among others. That's on Speed Gaming. And the main tournament, prelims are finally over. The main tournament's going on now. So that Mega Man 4 has been red hot. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. No spoilers. The Super 16 coming up tomorrow, 12 p.m. on Speed Gaming and Speedrun Hype. So I don't know if we got anybody in chat that's running this.
I know Rayo, who has done that before, the Super 16. He's doing comms for that.
Oh, is he?
Sure. And he's been a guest on our show in the past too. So look for Rayo.
Nice.
Doing comms.
Right on. Well, yeah, good luck to Rayo and good luck to all the runners of the event. Check that out. So Big John did a huge fundraiser for Stop and Cease benefiting, I believe, multiple Black Lives Matter related charities. They raised $50,000.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so really beautiful thing to see. Bobby did a run in there as well, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen, and we'll talk about that in more detail a little bit later, but a pretty emotional clip from Bobby, which was really cool. But yeah, lots of good stuff happening there. Keep up the great work, Big John.
Yep.
Blast the Process for the Genesis and Mega Drive fans out there. That's happening July 17th through the 19th. And submissions actually close tomorrow. So I don't know if you can still submit tomorrow. Look into that. If you play Genesis games, hit it up, make a submission. And Best of NES, we got the possibly the final Big 20. Voting is open through the end of July, and you can actually nominate 20 games that you would like to see in the Big 20. So check them out on Twitter, Best of NES.
Yep, and they're doing something different too. So I mean, maybe this is the year of things happening differently.
I mean 2020. And finally, we have Ness Atlas coming in hot with another beautiful Atlas videos. This one was for Gremlins 2. He actually just released one for Batman yesterday. I'd already put all this together, so I was not going to reorganize things. But much love to Ness Atlas.
Yeah, these videos that Atlas does are so cool. And I think we usually put a link with the YouTube so you can get there that way. But find him on YouTube because you can get lost in his videos. I just watched the Link's Awakening one. That was incredible.
Nice, yeah, and he's got a lot of them. All right, moving on. So our hot topic this week is obsessive habits. Not necessarily OCD, but it's an interesting graphic to think about. I know personally, like my whole life, I've been I jump from one thing to another that I obsess about, and I still do it, even though I've stuck with speedrunning longer than most things. But that's kind of what got me thinking about it. How do you feel about this, Zorilla, personally?
I actually think it's really interesting in the context of speedrunning because I know a lot of people. You'll see this in chat sometimes in a speedrunning channel. Someone will say, "I don't know how you can do this over and over again." I would that would drive me crazy. And people say that aren't interested, or even if they are interested in watching it, aren't interested in doing speedrunning maybe. And so I think by nature it almost has an obsessive quality to it, especially when you start getting down to, very difficult tricks to pull off, for example, and you might go like, yeah, just think about a run where you go, I'm going to shave off 0.3 of a second here, and yeah, it's going to take me a few thousand attempts at this, but I'll get that last 0.3 of a second. It has an obsessive nature to it, but I almost feel like it can be a sort of a positive or at least a fun outlet for that kind of thing. Because if you're going to be obsessing over something, well, it's pretty harmless, and it's if anything, it's fun.
Well, yeah, and it can be harmless. I mean, I think there can definitely be harm that comes from it as well. I think it depends. I think a lot of it depends on the type of person, because I think you can kind of develop those habits after kind of getting a taste of speedrunning and get that adrenaline high after getting your first PB. But then I think some people, kind of like how some people are more predisposed to gambling or whatever, can really have problems with it too. Like me personally, I sometimes just can't turn it off, like.
Right. I was going to say, actually, when you injured yourself,
right.
And that's part of it probably is you, but how much of that is obsessive and how much is that you just really having fun with that game?
I don't know. That's a good question. But yeah, no, like, I mean, like I'll sit there and I'll be talking to myself mentally, like, don't be an idiot. Stop. You're not going to do it. And then like 2 minutes later, there I am, practicing save states or something.
Right.
So yeah, so I think that's just something we should all keep in mind, try and manage that as best as you can. Remember what's important in life. Not that this is not important.
Right.
But yeah, there's more too. So
yeah, and I think something that I've seen is by and large, I feel like the retro community and the speedrunning community in general seems to be pretty supportive of each other as far as taking time for mental health, kind of having each other's backs. I feel like in general, it's a pretty friendly community, and I think that helps.
Yeah.
So if you need to take a break, don't be afraid to do that.
Word up. Well, that's all I got for that. You good?
Yeah.
Nice talk. All right. Moving on. Hot records, and oh, are they so hot? Starting off, we got, we were just talking about this guy, Lolo3 from Rayo. He improved his record by, I think, a number of minutes, right? Yeah, a few minutes.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty big PB. Maybe Rayo's in chat over there. Maybe he can tell us how much of a PB it was. But he is so close to owning all the Lolo-related records. He's gathering them up one by one. So I think he's gonna get there.
Yeah, I think he just has Lolo 2 to go. But yeah, 119.47. So GG to, I almost said Lolo, Rayo.
GG Radio, yeah.
In Rygar, any percent no wrong warp in 2056 by Classic Game Dad.
Yep, CGD. That one was a long time coming. He was working on that pretty much since he started streaming, and that was a really fun reaction to see him get that record.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he got it on his birthday too, which is
He
fun.
did. Yeah, he did.
Unfortunately, taking the record from our good friend Crit Rocket Runner.
All right.
So there's that. But no, GG to CGD. Still a huge race for Super Mario 2, Japanese version, of course. Any percent. So yeah, Cosmic. I can't remember. Did he get the first 755 or did
I believe he did.
Takate? Okay,
I
because I
believe
know
Cosmic got it first. Correct us in chat if we're wrong about that, but I believe Cosmic got it first. Takate has one now as well.
right. Yeah, he's just I think like one frame rule off behind Cosmic,
Right.
but yeah, really exciting to see them push that. A really cool run. So yeah, check both of them out if you're
Yeah.
into that kind of thing.
The that record for Cosmic 2, the video is really fun because at the very end, I feel like this was a conscious decision. Cosmic left this in there, but at the very end, you hear him say, "We did it, Takate," and it felt like such a beautiful moment of camaraderie between those two. So that was cool.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to push it together.
Right.
Gotta respect that.
Yep.
And then another Mario news: Super Mario Land 2, which Darbian recently took. It's been taken by O_deer.
Oh dear.
Any percent glitchless and 2624.
GG's.
Yeah, pretty cool game, pretty cool run. Let's see. We got moving on to Super Mario World. 96 exit and 1 hour 21 minutes 52 seconds by Maiba RTA. I want to say I believe it's Japanese runner, I think.
Cool.
But yeah, that's a
GG's.
crazy run.
Mm-hmm.
Super Mario 64 120 star. Apparently this is going to keep getting pushed down. 138.28 by Simply.
Yeah, that one's still being pushed. It's crazy.
And if you notice, he is shirtless, so he must be streaming on YouTube or something. It's the first thing I noticed. Prominent nipples. No, not prominent. That sounds bad. Anyways, all right, moving on.
Moving on.
Super Mario RPG, any percent in 2 hours 46 minutes 24 seconds by Just Incredible. I will, man. So I don't know if you had a chance to catch many of these, Zorilla, but
I didn't.
there were multiple people that were like bawling in their records, and this was one of them. And I don't mean any disrespect, like
Right.
especially a high level game like this when you really worked hard, and these games are so long too.
That's the thing. They're so long. That would be so taxing.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. I just remember I was telling my wife, it's like, man, there's just a lot of people crying this month. But yeah, so some really emotional, cool stuff. Check these out if you want to see
I'll have to watch that. Yeah.
some adrenaline flow. What do we got next here? Double Dragon, any percent in 11 minutes 6 seconds 99 milliseconds by Slackinator.
Yep. And I think he said that there's a lot of room still to improve that record. I don't know if he's going to try to improve it or if he's going to let somebody else push it, but I believe he said there's quite a bit of time there.
Yeah, and he only beat El Rock, which El Rock I think had that record for a while by a handful of milliseconds. But I think
Right.
he's on to Double Dragon 2 now, so who knows?
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so free world record out there, everybody. JK.
Speaking of free ones.
Right. One of my favorite pop offs, Mr. Two's he 11:24 flat, taking back the record on Castlevania. Everybody, give it up for the Snack Man.
Yep.
Beautiful.
And, go ahead.
No, yeah, I'm just saying, beautiful. He was just like so pumped when he got it, and he's grinding, he's killing it. He's gonna get that sub 11:24.
He is. He's going to end it with he's going to get the 23 eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So yeah, everybody check out any. pushing for partner right now, just submitted. So follow him, watch him whenever you can. Kid Icarus, any percent in 21 minutes 15 seconds by Fruit Bat Salad.
That's a pretty hard game, I think. I actually haven't
Yeah.
played that one, but I hear people say that it's a very difficult one. So GG's Fruit Bat Salad.
Our friend Skunky, 48 with TMNT 2J with a 26.49. I think he might be done with that, or maybe he's trying to push it a little bit further, but I think he saved a couple seconds off his previous record. So
Skunky is a machine.
Indeed. Trying to conquer all those Turtles games.
Yep.
And on that note, TMT3, which I think he's going to go after next, Umquat got a 34.53 in the Japanese version, which was a huge, huge PB. So yeah, he's just completely destroyed that game. But we'll see what Skunky has to say about that.
Yep, well, should be good.
Metroid, all bosses, and 100% by Sgdq. So all bosses, he got a 13.28 and 100% 37.47.
Nice.
And then, as I referenced earlier, a guy named Madu from Brazil actually took the English record for Little Nemo with a 23.10. I had a 23.17, which was the previous record. So obviously super devastated, but no, just a fantastic run. He's brought all kinds of new time saves to the table. Just really, really good runner. So I'm trying to go back and at the very least get a PB, but we're seeing what we can do to help push it down. So give him a follow. Very, very sick runner.
Yeah, and that game is so fun to watch. So I'm kind of glad you're running it again.
Well, thanks. Yeah, and I love the game too. It feels like I'm home. And then another thing we referenced earlier, so Mega Man 4. This has gone insane with the tournament going on. So right now the record is by Colonel Fatso in 37.08. I believe in a 1 week time period, we had 3 new records in this game.
Yeah, that's wild.
So yeah, 6th, 7th, 14th. So yeah, just over 1 week. Becco took the record, then Ohan, then Colonel Fatso. So yeah, if you want to watch some high-level Mega Man, start checking out those folks, and you get your fix.
Yeah, GG's to all of those records. Everybody out there, keep grinding. Get you on the list next month.
And it's everybody's favorite time. Can anybody guess what it is?
I think everyone knows.
Get ready. Checking in with Sinbad, everybody's favorite segment. Yeah, you got to. So yeah, for this week on Checking in with Sinbad, did you know that for $65 you can get a personal greeting from Sinbad on the website /app Cameo?
Whew, that is a deal.
As far as I can tell, you were not allowed to use it for stuff like this. Otherwise, I would have already done it. But that's pretty cool. You can tell him, he can say something about it's time to party, something like that.
Well, think about that for a gift. The person who has everything. Well, what they probably don't have is a personal greeting from Sinbad on Cameo.
Right. So just food for thought. Also, Sinbad can't stand it when he loses his cell phone.
Oh, who can?
Right?
Who can, Stormy?
So check back next week. We'll maybe we'll have some slightly more relevant facts, but
yeah, food for thought though, Stormy.
Right.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Give the people what they want. All right. So we're gonna get ready for our guest here. Let me get things switched over. Guest, if you could unmute yourself, I'll be introducing you momentarily. There he is. All right, everybody. And now, without further ado, allow me to introduce our featured guest for the evening, the Black Brigade Renegade, the Blood-Stained Unrestrained, TheBlackTastic. What's up, Bobby?
Ooh, I like that.
That
Bloodstained, unrestrained Katana Daddy incarnate. How's it going, everyone?
good. How are you?
Dude, I'm doing so great. Thank you guys so much again. First and foremost, Stormcrow and Zarella for having me on this podcast. Like this has been extremely great just listening to you guys talk shop so far.
Awesome, man. Yeah, no, we're thrilled to have you on here. So, and you had a pretty crazy day today too, right?
Yeah. Apparently, as part of honoring Juneteenth, honoring Freedom Day, is Twitch was kind of shining a spotlight on all the POC and Black content creators on Twitch, and I happened to get on front page for some reason.
Yeah, that's got to be an exciting but maybe nerve-wracking experience.
Yeah, I mean, streaming on Twitch isn't my first time, like actually, like performing like in front of people or performing like for people. So I'm like a little bit in tune with like how to kind of like maybe like work a crowd or like make sure that everything's okay. Like I try to be like first and foremost like a people pleaser, like making sure that everyone's good. Like you should have seen me at like college parties like years ago. Like, hey man, you good? Get you anything, man? Like, you need some water? Yeah. But yeah, like that front page experience was like super cool. We had a really chill chat the entire time. Like nobody, like, well, 99% of everybody did not cause any troubles
Nice.
during the time on the front page. So yeah, it was a blessing. Got to meet some new people, and it's just a blast.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to catch some of that. That was pretty awesome. Right on. Well, yeah. So, I mean, we kind of like to open this up with just allowing you to kind of free flow and tell our guests, tell us a little bit about yourself. Your background, where you're from, family, whatever you want to divulge in. Tell us about Bobby.
Well, hi, my name is Bobby. First of all, yeah, I'm known as TheBlackTastic. I've carried the at least the TheBlackTastic moniker for the better part of, I mean, I want to say like 10 years now. Before like this whole like Twitch thing, I was really heavy into like competitive fighting games. I love Street Fighter, love the over the top Marvel vs. Capcom, and I started traveling, across the country, like East Coast, West Coast, to like, enter these tournaments, make new friends, and like just play video games. So it's like, when it comes to like being under pressure to perform, when it comes to like, how to carry yourself like in like public, I kind of got my start off with that, just playing, fighting games, kind of seeing like how the FGC is what we call the fighting game community, just like for short. It's kind of like seeing like how those kids roll, because like it was a very different time than spending a whole bunch of quarters at Aladdin's Castle or your local arcade, like from like 15 20 years ago.
Right.
um so with fighting games, I think around like 2011 2012, I was like trying to figure out like what to like do with like what to do with like my life, honestly, because like I went to school. I graduated actually like early. I graduated like a month before I turned 16, like of high school. I
Oh,
didn't really
wow.
want to go to like college. I didn't really want to be like rushed. That's all I was like, um, through like school is like completely rushed. I have like older peers that I gotta like either look up to, respect, or like try to make friends with, because it's like it's school. You kind of gotta like build your like alliances, allegiances, things like that.
Hmm.
But very 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 light footed, very treading carefully throughout high school. I didn't want anyone to like know like my age. Someone eventually found out like right in the middle of like freshman year, and like it was just it was just like a world of not even like drama, just really like unique like run-ins and instances and like all that stuff. Like
So
I've had people like, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. So, I mean, did you start earlier? Did you skip some grades or?
I no, I started on time. I skipped a couple of grades when I was in primary school. Like I took like a placement test. I honestly like forgot, like I was like so young. But apparently like I scored like really high, or I was like labeled like a gifted child, whatever that meant. So they wanted me to they wanted to like test things out by placing me in like a higher grade and to see like how I would do. Because like back in like, you know, the like first grade, I guess, like I would just be like really bored. I would finish my work quickly. I would, you know, just like be like distracting because like, you know, like I didn't have anything else to do. So they wanted to like, you know, challenge me a bit further by tossing me up a couple grades, and I stuck with it for the entirety until high school, or actually, you know, way after high school.
Oh, that's crazy. So
But, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, you were talking about kind of trying to figure out, you know, what you wanted to do after you graduated.
Yeah, so I didn't want to go to college right being a fresh 16-year-old in like a university where, you know, like it's completely like overwhelming, and honestly I didn't really know what to do with my life then. Like I'm not just gonna like, you know, I didn't just want to like spend my life in like college taking all these like, you know, basic courses and, you know, settling on something. So I wanted to like explore with like what I did, you know, do like outside. I did like fighting games during like high school. I was like really big into music. Like I like a band. We kind of like not like toured, but like, you know, we played like pretty like popular venues in like Northeast Ohio and like all that stuff. Like, and that was an extremely good time.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
But there was a certain magic with like just, you know, finding a fellowship within like fighting game community, and us being like, you know, getting like older, so like my responsibility started piling up. I had to take like up like a job, so I couldn't really like get off for like, you know, the tournaments that I wanted to go to, like, you know, when I was like a teenager. So I looked at Twitch. I guess it was like Justin TV at the time. Like it was extremely like way back then. And
oh wow.
We did, yeah, the local fighting game community here, we did like a whole bunch of like, you know, streaming for like in-house sessions, you know, like, you know, us like quote unquote leveling up before we head off to like a big tournament, you know, things like that. And I thought that, you know, I was extremely good at like, you know, either playing fighting games, talking about fighting games, since I've been part of like that you know, like that community for like so long, that I could probably like do something with it. When I went to these tournaments, like when I traveled, I also took up a commentary duty, you know, like a play-by-play like analyst, kind of like calling the matches, like, you know, pretty much for 6-7 hours, or, you know, whatever, however long like a shift was. But it ended up being a paid position, like fighting games and like just basically, you know, competitive gaming in general, like as internet became more accessible, as we got like faster speeds, we were able to like stream more events. Like obviously it's gonna like blow up and like take off. A lot of people are gonna like have eyes on, you know, this sort of like content, and I kind of like grew like infatuated with that. Because it's like, you've seen like high profile esports events like Evo, where it's like all this pretty cool you know, production, you know, a whole bunch of like, you know, professional commentary, just, you know, like really, you know, money like put, you know, a lot of money put into it. That was Evo. Like now, the Evo then started exactly like any other like, you know, startup in that sort of like community, like small.
Yeah.
Or even like, you know, compared to like something like Sgdq, which started like in, you know, 2010, right out of someone's basement, small.
Yeah.
So like I kind of like wanted to take that idea and like, you know, for the immediate like my immediate peers like within my community, like some, if not all of us, could like, you know, really make some of this. Like we're all like pretty like, you know, we've got like pretty bright minds. We've all been like together, and this is like through like 10 years of like being, you know, with these guys, you know, constructing all of these tournaments, getting the word spread out, like actually like doing like the, you know, like the manual work to make sure that, you know, not only is the event successful, but the event is like, you know, kind of like well known, because like again, it's a startup.
Yeah.
Fast forward to like 2012, where like a lot more responsibility started piling up on me. I had to like kind of like back away from like the FGC like a little bit. Like I had to, again, like stop traveling out to tournaments, stop like really like even like going to locals. Like, yeah, I was kind of like eyeing the school stuff if like nothing was really like going to go. But the whole content creation thing, the whole like streaming thing, I really wanted to stream fighting games. I wanted to like actually like make sure that like this was like a really good community to like invest in. And it is, don't get me wrong. Back then though, I didn't really have like anything to like again, like right now we have like all these cool like upload speeds, we have like these awesome specs on like our like computers, and like we don't really need like much to like stream, especially when it comes to like retro. But back then you're streaming like, you know, 3D games like Tekken and like Marvel 3, where there's just a whole bunch of like, you know, high graphic fidelity, and I'm trying to stream out of like an old Acer laptop, 13 inches, I'm sorry, 14 inches, no dedicated graphics or like anything like that, is like
On some DSL.
could not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, off the Wi-Fi too. The router was in my mom's room. It was bad. It was extremely bad. But I wanted to like do something with it. Like I already like went so far to like, you know, like create the Twitch channel. Like people have already like known me from like the fighting game community. So like I already kind of got like a head start with like the following and like, you know, people actually like coming in and like all that stuff. So I was extremely grateful for that. But I had to do something else because like people aren't going to be tuning in for like 30 minutes of me messing around with my stream settings in order to get Marvel vs. Capcom to display correctly, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So this is when I turned to the whole speedrunning thing. So when it came to like speedrunning and how like I kind of like grew to be a part of the community, it started like way back like when I was like a kid. I was born in 1993. I got raised on the Super Nintendo. A lot of these games were extremely short. Some were extremely hard, but still very extremely short. So I would have like, you know, Super Mario, Donkey Kong Country, Mega Man X, and like all that stuff. And like I would be so infatuated with these games. You know, I could not, you know, put them down. And especially when it came to like Mega Man X, which was like really short game. There's a lot of like, you know, free form movement. Controls were like extremely responsive, many different ways to play the game. You kind of, if you really invest into it, you kind of set multiple stipulations or circumstances in order to complete something on multiple playthroughs. Kind of like, you know, like, oh, what if I do it with like Buster only? And hey, that's a pretty, you know, popular speedrun category. But like,
Yeah.
you know, like as a kid, you kind of like, you know, want to challenge yourself if things proved a little bit, you know, kind of easy for you. Nah, I mean, honestly, you don't see me like now doing like icelesses and ass grabs or anything like that. Like, but as a kid, it's like, you know, I really like playing through this game like over and I don't think I'm gonna be like moving on to like any other game. Like I wasn't really into like, you know, the big old RPGs or like even like sports games, but like action games like, you know, good old Vania, good old, you know, Mega Man 7, Mega Man X, like I just really liked. So
So
streaming
Castlevania 4 you did play back then too?
No. I actually played Dracula X when I was
Okay.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
I didn't know about like the actual like Rondo or like anything. Like I was telling people here, like
We won't judge you.
I did not touch Super Castlevania 4 at all. One, because I mean I just didn't have the game growing up. I can't make money as a 4-year-old to buy something.
Right.
And and then like two, like I just constantly heard from people that like, yo man, Castlevania 4 is like hard. It's super hard. It is extremely difficult. Oh my god. And then it's that like word of mouth alone, like, all right, I trust you. You know what? I'm just not gonna touch the game. But when it came to trying to stream like what I like just some sort of like digestible content, I kind of looked back into like the sort of like games that I really liked to, you know, see play fast. This was around when I was peering around like Speed Demos Archives videos as well. I first got it like what first captivated me into like actually like the craft, like me actually realizing that there was a, you know, like a community like behind like all this and all that stuff. I saw Rom Scout. Like everyone knows Rom Scout. I believe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rom Scout had a speed run of Castlevania Symphony of the Night, any percent. So it was like, okay, in less than 20 minutes. Me, I love Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and I've toiled for hundreds of hours to you know scouring both areas. I don't really want to spoil it like too much, but like honestly, if you haven't played Symphony of the Night now, like, come on. But like
Yeah, I think
going
you're
through
good. Yeah.
both areas of the game. Yeah, this is a red, right?
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, how does this guy beat it in 20 minutes? This is where I started like figuring out that there are ways you can like glitch games in order to make them work the way that you want them to. There were a couple of frame perfect tricks. I only like heard of frame perfect through fighting game community, through like frame data when Ryu throws a punch, you know, like you could see like the amount of like active frames that it had, you know, like, I just knew it from there. But frame perfect like in an action game, like now you're able to start breaking things down to a science. That's what immediately got me kind of like hooked, especially when it comes to like cutting your favorite game down to 20 minutes. Like that's insane. I started streaming from my Xbox 360 because it just turns out that Xbox 360 is like the fastest like port of Symphony of the Night. Came out in like 2006 or 7 or something. $10, and probably like the best $10 I ever spent. I started recording a couple of like, you know, speed run like tech. Like I wasn't like doing like any practicing. I wasn't like really like digging into like PB videos like just yet. Just getting like, you know, getting tech down. Just like how a fighting gamer would, you know, utilize training mode. You know, he would just, you know, try to get one little execution or one little, you know, maneuver trick down over and over until, you know, it becomes second nature.
Right.
I go and do some like shield dashing, you know, like really fast, you know, movement tricks, and then I just see like some people like just pop up like, oh hey, you know, are you planning on running this game? Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like was telling them the Soten community or the people in chat kind of like the same thing I was telling you guys right now. Like I just, you know, I just picked this up. Like I've been wanting to like kind of challenge myself with like the older games. Like this could probably be like the, you know, best way to do it. And I just get all these Symphony of the Night like community just like, you know, giving me tips. There's like a whole like video series on YouTube that this guy TurboDog702 did. You know, go ahead and do that, and then be able to like help you along the way. And they did. And then like honestly, like that was like the moment that I was hooked, because like
That's
I
beautiful.
can keep playing a game like over and over, all while seeing progress, all while having people like watch me and help me like along the way. Like, and it was just like such a different thing. It's something entirely new. Because again, like, you know, all I knew was like fighting games.
So nice when there's a community that's there ready to help you, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely it is. And again, like extremely like, I guess, you know, blessed to be in like in that situation, because like, you know,
yeah,
I don't think there were anything like searchable like directories, or I don't know like how like old like Twitch has been, like honestly. But to find the people that I did know, and like that's I feel like that's like the kind of magic within like the speedrunning community, or like any speedrunning community you're in, especially like right now, where people can just like search you up, and you know, you just know that they're there for the love of the game. Like it's magical. It really is.
Yeah, and you're coming from a, you know, someplace with the fighting games with a huge community presence. Of course, you got the physical presence there too. I'm sure there's some differences, but yeah, luckily we got it at least.
Yeah, like the thing about speedrunning is that it's more about, you know, I feel like it's more about the game than it is like the like competition, like actual like, you know, the state of competition. When it comes to FGC, like, and especially when you go to like tournaments and all that stuff, that's the thing. You go to a tournament, you go to compete. Like,
right.
If you really want to take that mindset, like you have to smash everyone that you come across in order to win, I don't know, $75. Like that's just how it was back then. When it comes to like the speedrunning community, like whatever we're there for, because like I've been there for like, or I've been to like, you know, marathons where like, you know, there wasn't really like any like, you know, cause or like charity or anything, but people are still there for the love of the game. People are still there to like, you know, congregate, build relationships, create content with one another, and like that's great as well. There's a little bit of that with like FGC, but that's just like not like the main part. And I think that's what, you know, there's no like hard edginess. You know what I'm saying? Like at least at first.
Right. That is, I mean, does your competitive nature, does that come out like in speedrunning too, or is that just like a side thing? Because obviously you've grinded some of these games down, like we're watching Bloodstain now.
Yeah, like I love leaderboards. I mean, I think leaderboards is a really good, you know, way to kind of light that fire in someone and have that indirect competition. because yeah, when you pick up like a speed game, you're probably gonna pick up something that you like, something that you never want to put down like over and over, and then once you start getting times down, if you already haven't looked at the leaderboard, or there have been like many like wikis and all that stuff documenting times, I feel like you'll be left with a sense of longing. like oh
yeah.
man, yeah, I was pretty good, I guess, but this guy's like literally 20 minutes faster than me. How? There's a little bit of like competitiveness in like that, because it's like, if he's demonstrating something, or he or she, sorry, if they're demonstrating things that you don't even know about, then this is your favorite game. Why don't you know about this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it just it is a really unique feeling. And it really depends on whether you want to like grind for a time, or whether you want to like just be there for like the community and like all that stuff. But when it comes for me, I just like that sort of like indirect competition. I'm not gonna pop off as say let's go every time that I PB, or every time that I win a race, especially with like all the speedrunning tournaments that are going on. And I have been watching like a whole bunch of them, especially like just a couple months ago they just wrapped up the Mega Man 9 tournament, where anything can happen. Like you can decide to be like humble like extremely quick, especially if a game like treats you wrong in a tournament setting.
Did you play in that? I know that's one of
No, I did
your
not,
big games.
no.
Okay, been a while since Mega Man 9.
It's really weird for me. I haven't like participated in any speedrun tournaments.
Ooh.
Other than Shovel Knight, like way back in like 2015 or 2016 or something like that. Like,
is that something you'd like to try in the future?
I'm slowly dipping my toes. Like I'm just trying to find like a game that I would like, and just like kind of pick up off a whim. Like I wanted to do like Super 16, but that kind of like crept up on me. But that's like a like a huge race featuring like a myriad of really popular games, or games that feature good tech. But
See, is CV4 in that? Did I see that?
I don't think so.
Okay, maybe I'm imagining that.
There's like Aladdin. They're ending with All Stars. There's like ActRaiser professional mode.
Oh damn.
It's just some like things like that. But yeah, when it comes to like actual like direct competition, I don't really I don't know. I miss the kind of shoulder to shoulder competition, and like that sort of like like environment of like fighting game sessions. When I want to like, I feel like the person that I should be racing against is like myself, like always.
Right.
If I worry too much about my opponent, then I'm gonna slip up, and then I'll probably like rip the run like right then and there. I feel that like the top time that you got, you don't really have to prove like anything else. Like unless you want to be like extremely like consistent within that game. But I know people like sort of like hop to and from games that are like either like flavors, or things that they want to like try out. Like it is kind of like a fair weatherness, like much like kind of like picking out a fighting game. Like, oh yeah, do you really want to play Street Fighter, or do you really want to play Mortal Kombat?
Yeah. Or do you want to, like you said, dip your toes and try some different flavors? Yeah. Now we were talking a little bit earlier too, like before the podcast started, kind of just about that balance of like focus on a game and like trying to entertain too. I think that kind of goes into what we're talking about with, the competitiveness too. So, because I mean, you've got a really, really fun stream, and you happen to be, really good at speedrunning, and you have some really competitive times too. But I mean, is that something you're focusing on? I mean, what do you, what's your focus when you fire up a stream?
When I fire up a stream, yeah, I feel like I do kind of put like my my speedrun goals at like a kind of like a secondary like status when it comes to, and like this is a really good question that you brought up, because at Sgdq 2018 I was approached to do like an interview by someone from Kotaku, and they kind of asked me like the same thing, and what I said was that whenever I fire up a stream, Like I feel, or whenever I'm like performing for like an event like a GDQ or like anything like that, I feel like I'm there to entertain. Like if people are watching you, people want to be wowed. Like this is why people, this is why people watch,
Yeah.
And I try to keep a healthy balance of, consistency with my games and also, paying attention and like kind of like reading the room when it comes to like, like chat interaction and like, what people like want to see. Because like, literally at any other point, like in a day or like off stream, I could be doing this offline, and I do make that like kind of known, but I don't want to.
Sure.
Like I stream on Twitch to meet, to interact, and to engage, and or whenever I do a performance, like I feel like that should be like first and foremost, because if you're not taking care of your guests are going to leave your house,
Right. Yeah. No, I respect that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not an easy thing to do for a lot of people though. So yeah, you make it look easy.
But I mean, like I said, like this didn't come like like overnight, like through doing a whole bunch of like performances through like music, through competitive games, through shoutcasting for those games. Like I've tried to take a little bit of those experiences and throw it into how I present myself and how I present the stream, the brand that I want to represent.
Sure. Yeah, and you've got a great brand, and I know you're right there on the cusp for applying for a partner. So I'm sure everybody here in chat's pulling for you. I know we are.
So actually, as of an hour ago, I managed to complete the Path to Partnership achievements.
Oh baby.
So it budged me a little bit over to 77 concurrent viewers. So I'm just kind of like trying to feel out when and how I should apply.
Hell yeah, man! Congrats.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, and I honestly like this kind of quarantine thing kind of like helped me out like a little bit as well. I got laid off from my job about like when like around March or so, and I took all of that time to kind of like really think and reflect on like what I want to do when it comes to like content creation, because like I can always like job, I can always have a job, but when it comes to like something that you want to create and something that you want to like represent and something that you want to show to not only your community but others communities, that it's a lot of planning, a lot of thinking to go into, especially when you feel like you kind of hit like a sort of a hard stop. There have been like months where I just feel like this wasn't going to be taken off, and like when I try to like urge and encourage my like my like the chat and like all that stuff, like I feel like I was like letting them down like a little bit. Like people want to see success and I'm not doing either enough, or I just don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I could be doing right in order to steer the brand or the channel exactly where it should go, or exactly where it should be.
Yeah. There's not a book on how to do that. Yeah, that can't. I mean, shit. There probably is now, but yeah, I can't imagine even trying to handle that. Yeah.
That's a bit of a grind. Yeah, for sure.
And you're actually, so you're a Matcherino partner as well.
Yeah.
So what is Matcherino?
So Matcherino is basically a kind of crowdfunding service for pretty much like any sort of like online event, mainly esports. It was kind of like created with born with competitive fighting games and other popular esports in mind. And it was a really good way for me to throw a little bit of fighting game community flair into like the regular content for the stream. Like since 2017, yeah, I've been up with these guys for since 2017, and they have like pretty much like I've been like partner number one like in their eyes. Like they met me from like a raid from like Big John. Like and this is how like really weird like fighting game communities and like speedrun and retro communities like come together. And I was kind of telling them, like I was telling you about like the whole like fighting game thing, and like how I was like kind of like brought up through it, how kind of like grew through like a pretty much like a generation of fighting games. And they're like, dude, that's like extremely dope. Listed a couple of my accolades, and then like they're like, hey man, you're a pretty cool dude. You got a pretty nice, like chill squad, chill stream. And then something happened where I got a check mark on Matcherino. What exactly does that entail? It just means that like they can actually like put trust in like a a well-run event. And if they want someone to like represent them, they can just like pull up any of my like events and be like, yo, this is how this guy kind of like does things.
Hell
This
yeah.
is how they promote this thing. This is how they run brackets and whatnot.
Right on. Yeah, and they're a part of your event coming up, right?
Mm.
So the Black Cup, tell us about that.
So the Black Cup, I started in 7. Again, just kind of like as a foray of fighting games returning to the channel. Back then, not only when I not only was competing and casting, but I was also like helping people like run tournaments, helping people organize events. People shorthanded TO or Tournament. Wow, tournament organizer. Excuse me. Hold on. Let me take a sip of something real quick.
Take your time. Take your time.
So no, I'm good now. So in 2017, the kind of like big fighting game was Street Fighter 5. It was extremely good because like it was like the first Street Fighter to allow cross-platform play between people that own a PS4 and people that have it on computer. So it was like a really like easy and accessible way for people to like get in the game and get people online and fighting against each other and all that stuff. When it came to the Black Cup, I really just wanted to have a platform for performing players, because like I like for fighting game community, like even if you like aren't like faintly aware of like what it is, but you might have heard some names before, like the top players, Daigo Umehara, nice, Street Fighter Japanese champion, Justin Wong, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 champion. Like you might have heard these names before, but you don't really see a lot of like the kind of like lesser known people, especially like those who aren't able to travel to anywhere like online.
Sure.
Or sorry, to anywhere offline,
Right.
because much like me, wow, we got older, responsibilities started piling up, yada yada yada. So I'm like, okay, cool, online fighting game tournament. Street Fighter 5 has got some pretty decent netcode, not really any complaints like here or there. So we toss one up, and with resounding success, like we managed to like, well, not resounding success, like for the first run, I didn't really like promote it like much. I ended up still getting like a 16-man bracket, ended up still getting people like calling matches, and like really good production that I've learned from kind of casting these events for FGC like a couple handful of years ago. And through the years, I've managed to have like numerous prize pools raised through like the partners at Matcherino. Matcherino partners with like other kind of gaming companies, G Fuel and like all that stuff, to like be able to like bring like free money into the pot, nothing out of your pocket, which I think is like pretty cool. Like as long as click a link or take a survey, kind of like things like that. And I think people like not only like contributing to like events like Sgdq, but like also like it'd be pretty cool just be like, what, I'll have like I myself can toss in like $20 in the pot for like a little pot bonus, spice things up a bit. That added like a lot to the hype. Matcherino,
sure.
like only like extended that to me because maybe I successfully like ran these tournaments before. I don't know, but
And they're so they're contributing for this Black Cup as well.
Yes.
And this is all. Are there going to be prizes too, or it's just
I'm working with people around like my personal fighting game community, like my circle, to like grab prizes out for these guys. I've got like a couple posters, gift cards, and like all that stuff. I really, really want the monetary value to be about the charity.
Sure.
So yeah, let's talk about this current event real quick. So June 28th, 2020 is when I'll be doing the charity event. It's going to be called Change the Future. I actually this is actually our second charity event that we did before. For a fighting game tournament benefiting a cause. The first one was at Summer Games Done Quick, and we did a Dragon Ball Fighter Z tournament that was recorded. I don't have the stream because I'm stupid, but we ended up raising like a couple $100 to donate alongside GDQ's efforts for Doctors Without Borders.
Oh hell yeah!
So
Nice.
so for this one, with everything going on, I really want to. We're benefiting the Bail Project, and
Yeah, which is a fantastic charity, by the way.
yeah, like it really is. Like when it comes to the never-ending like human rights fight, there are going to be some people that are wrongfully, jailed, wrongfully arrested and detained and illegally detained because they just spoke up about something,
Mm-hmm.
because their voices were like a little bit louder so while I can't be like out on the streets like on my own, this would probably be like a really nice way to like give back to that to that nonprofit that would actually help these folks in their time of need, because through all layers of this fight we got to be supporting each other and having each other's backs. So
Yeah,
if you're not
100%.
fighting one way, you can feel free to fight another. So this is going to be
Definitely.
this is going to be benefiting the Bail Project, and I've been touting this event all June. We've been gathering funds all June, and actually as of the end of the stream, or actually the end of my stream today, we've managed to raise over $500 for the event so far. And again,
Nice.
it's not even
Woo!
off until next Sunday.
And yeah, and you can put in a code. I don't know if we probably don't have the link handy here. We'll retweet it out, but you can put in a code, and Maturino will give $1 just by like linking your Twitter or Twitch account too, right?
Yes.
Which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. As long as you head over to the campaign page, and I'll make sure that these guys get the necessary resources. As long as you get to the campaign page, enter a coupon code, which is CTF Bail. The partners at Matcherino will donate $1 on your behalf for free, nothing out of your pocket. There's also a short survey that you can take that adds another $1 into the charity funds raised. So it's like
Yes.
I'm doing this as like a charity event, and I'm also doing this as an experiment, because it's like you can take a minute max to tip 2 into charity, and especially when it comes to like a current event that like concerns all of us, honestly.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I will say I did this too. It's so easy. Like it really does take like 2 minutes. It's so. Please, everybody that's watching, if you haven't done it already, do it. Let's get a little extra money in that pot. Yeah, it's too easy not to do it. Sorry to cut you off, Bobby.
No worries. That's pretty much just for like what I've been wanting to do, especially when it came to like content creation. Like I want to make something a little bit more than just like me sitting at a desk and playing video games for like 7 hours straight. There's a lot more potential that can be born from it, and there's a lot more as one person that I could do with it. So like it's a blast and also a blessing to be able to like put together like a charity effort. Like I definitely don't think we're gonna be like pulling in like 50K, but like anything helps. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Yeah.
Like if I'm doing something like this, then I'm pretty sure my next door neighbor will be doing something similar to this, and then everything will like pile up, and hopefully they'll go to someone that can actually like help turn the tides of this war.
Yeah. And going back to what you were talking about too, not everybody can be out there in the streets. Like my wife is super high risk for COVID, so I've not had a chance. But I've been like, there are things you can definitely do, even if it's not raising money, spreading awareness, social media, talking to people, donating personally. So yeah, I think it's important that we all look and try and do something positive with what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've done. I mean, yeah, you've done a lot of GDQ, ESA. Does ESA do they do charity work too?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
We were benefiting Save the Children.
Okay.
U.S. at ESA Winter 20.
Right on. So yeah, so you've got a pretty good background with working with various charities through your gaming.
I was fortunate enough to be accepted to my very first GDQ in 2016. Like this is like around the time where I was picking up my very first games to speedrun, which were Castlevania Symphony of the Night, like I mentioned earlier, and also Mega Man 9, which released in 2008. When that game came out, it was kind of like the retro revival of classic Mega Man, like back to 8-bit, back to crispy tunes and responsive controls and all that stuff. And and there was a category, or sorry, there was an extra like DLC that allows you to play as Proto Man, like an extra like character, and he had like a whole bunch of stuff to his arsenal. When Inti Creates developed Mega Man 9 alongside Capcom, they kind of wanted to like keep it kind of like as pure to a Mega Man 2 experience like as possible, or at least like when playing the Blue Bomber. So he didn't have like a charge shot, he didn't really have like sliding or anything like that. But Proto Man does. Like they kind of like souped him up. You can even like use his shield to like deflect things. Like it's great.
That's who we're seeing now, right, on the video.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Little Proto Man 9, and this was the very first game that I wanted to submit to a GDQ, because the whole like the Mega Man 9 community like back then was like extremely active. Like we were trying to take down a world record that had been long standing by this guy named Private Eye. He had like a 32 RTA, which was like considered like untouchable, but I mean like now obviously. But anyways,
yeah, things change.
Things changed, yeah, and things can change extremely quickly. However, I kind of grew not bored, but like really like frustrated. Like I guess you could say like a little bit of a burnout with the Blue Bomber, and I kind of went on to Proto Man instead. It was a really largely unexplored category, also with its pretty long-standing top time. I think it was like a 31 like 40 something by Agawath. But I wanted to kind of strut my stuff and kind of like see if I can go far in that category. And I guess I have been going far in that category, because when AGDQ 2016 submissions opened up and that games list came out, I was there. That was actually the only game that I submitted, and like that got through. Like that was like biggest honor. Like people don't know who I am.
Right? Had to have been so thrilling.
Yeah, it really is. Like especially for like. So like AGDQ 2016 was my first event. However, it wasn't a solo run. It was actually a race against the world record holder Slurpee Ninja at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think having that sort of like competitive, it's an actual race for a GDQ, kind of like set me in like the right headspace, because I was like, again, like I was saying before, like I was missing the whole like shoulder to shoulder interaction engagement with with competing against someone in real time, and I was able to get that with AGDQ 2016 against Slurpee Ninja.
Oh yeah.
So that was like an extreme like maybe morale booster, or maybe my mom was, let's go, but like I was in my element. I was in my element. And then for like other performances of like GDQ, this is when I like started like streaming a little bit more regularly. I started like kind of like growing into my own form, I guess. Like I didn't always used to, talk like this, or, be able to like articulate, completely. But I was able to do a speed run of Mega Man 9 again as for solo for Summer Games Done Quick 2018. And I did have Slurpee Ninja on the couch doing commentary. And that was also like a good time. It was extremely, it was extremely stressful, because I felt like I had to like, all eyes were on me and not, another, competitor or like anything like that. Like all eyes are on me. But
and you do have the record now, still, right? That's what we're watching, aren't we?
Yep.
Okay, just making sure. I thought so. I'm pretty sure.
Lord.
I think I pulled the right one.
This is, yeah, I guess so. Like watching these attempts, like, you know, it's just like it's a blur. You know, like you're playing the same 30-minute game like over and over, and like when it comes to like a game like Mega Man 9, and I'll go back into the GDQ, but when it comes to like Mega Man 9, there is a like high RNG chance of like, you know, almost every little boss. There's like, you know, it's not really like over until it's over. So you could be seeing like a, you know, a minus 7, 8, 9 second pace, but that could all come to a head when it, you know, you face that final Wily, you know.
Yeah.
It's yeah. But for yeah, so that was my my Sgdq 2018, and that went pretty well. I died like a couple times. We made a joke about getting the world record for Galaxy Man 4. Oh, sorry, for Jewel Man 4th, because I ended up actually misselecting a stage and going into a Robot Master when I didn't have their weakness. So still ended up underestimate for like by the grace of God, but
stuff like that happens.
Yeah, and just things like that you got to like learn to, you know, roll with the punches or like learn to bounce back from, you know.
Yeah.
My most recent AGDQ performance was actually not really like a popular game at all, but actually an indie game. I am a fan of like the new indie games that are out. Like, as much as I love retro, there are a whole bunch of indie games that kind of like build upon like classic formulas and make them into something that's like their own, which I think is extremely magical. So for Awesome Games Done Quick 2019, I was given the chance to speedrun a game called Guacamelee 2. Guacamelee, if you're not familiar, is made by Drinkbox Studios. Is actually based in Canada. They're like extremely great team. But it's basically I call it a Mexavania. So it's basically
luchador, right?
Yeah. It's basically like it's a luchador going through a Metroidvania type game. And
cool.
And not only do you have to get certain items and certain abilities in order to progress, but there are these things called like arenas, like little boss doors that you get locked in. You get faced with like a mob of enemies and like all that stuff, and there's a whole bunch of like tech behind that in order to like kill them quickly or spend the least of your resources and what have you. Guacamelee 2, rather the Guacamelee series, is just an amazing game. Like, and what I wanted, like the goal for like future GDQs and future submissions to marathons is like I want to show off like these sorts of games, like indie games that like don't really get like much shine like anywhere else. Like there have been people like speedrunning like Guacamelee and all that stuff, but not really like as big of a community as say Mega Man or Legend of Zelda.
Sure.
So I really liked to demonstrate these games just because like I said before, they're just things that are classic callbacks to your favorite Zelda 2 moment or classic Vania and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the ability to get instantly captured by them, especially in a speedrun setting where you're trying to like I like talking about the game, but I also like selling the game to the spectator, because it's like this is really cool, but I'm also going to tell you to like get this or like join the community or be engaged, because like if you like this, if you like watching this, you're going to have a lot more fun when you play it.
Yeah, and those types of games really seem to be growing too. I mean, obviously with games like Celeste and I mean Bloodstained. I mean, there's so many, and I think there seems to be a link between a lot of retro runners that run those kind of indie games too.
When it came to actually, I'll have like a little bit of like a link between classic Castlevania and Bloodstained, but for Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon, we're not talking about Ritual of the Night. Curse of the Moon is a game that 2 years ago, also developed by NT Creates, and was made in kind of like a really good modern nod to Castlevania 3, where you can like recruit people, you can switch between them. There are branching paths through the stages and like all that stuff. And you're like, okay, yeah, Super Castlevania 3 HD edition, I'm all for it. Like just because of that, like on itself, like if you like Castlevania, you would love to play that. And there are a lot of like distinct similarities and all that stuff. When it came to like the kind of like I don't know mixture of like Classicvania, I've been watching this guy named Voosh. Voosh is a really good like classic like SNES and also Classicvania runner. He actually has like one of the top times in Super Castlevania 4. But this guy like grinded the any percent normal category and took the world record by like a handful of seconds. And for the better part of maybe like a year, a lot of those like any percent normal categories were held by Laxus. Also like a Vania and Super Ghouls and Ghosts like runner and all that. So like that right there can tell you like someone can appreciate the old titles like Castlevania 4, 3, 2. Like there's a lot of love to be had with Bloodstained, and that could bode potential for your favorite game series. An indie game could play like Momodora, which is another Metroidvania. Sorry, I just couldn't think of anything else. But yeah, like it was until ESA was my recent like marathon performance where I got to showcase like a slew of like the indie games. Like not only did I get to play Bloodstained Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, but I got to play the first Guacamelee. And honestly, like I can't really call Mega Man 9 an indie game, but they were also made by Inti Creates, which are like a indie game studio. So they got their hands wet with the game.
Yeah, it looks like they did a good job keeping the original feel.
Yeah, and definitely in Mega Man 2 fashion, ramping up in the difficulty like at the end of the stages. Little tidbit. This actual final stage is an extreme gauntlet, like like in Mega Man 2, where you would fight like a version of Wily, then you escape to like another stage. Nah, you're fighting. Not only are you going through Wily stages because you have to beat Wily and your weapons and your weapon energy doesn't refill, but now Wily 4, you have like the boss gauntlet, and now you have 3 forms of Wily in a row. Like it is just
fun.
yeah, exactly. Like like you could just tell like why or how I got burnt out of like a regular Mega Man 9 so quickly if all we're doing is like kind of banking on this entire final area.
Yeah, your face looks quite tense right now. And there's the pop off. Look at that pop off. I love a good pop off.
Okay, so
so sometimes you pop off.
That's like 4 years of like on and off trying to chase that record.
Yeah,
and like
you've earned it at that point.
Like thank you. Yeah, like and like through that all through all of those fights, through all those like all that journey through to get world record, like the top time just kept getting shaved down by like Slurpee and like other like people. Like it was like the hill to climb was getting steeper like right before my eyes, like right as I was climbing it. So like the reason why I popped off like so hard is just like I just could not believe it happened. It was kind of like a JC thing. If you guys saw his Super Castlevania 4 world record, where it's like I did not think I was gonna get that. Getting so like so low, so many low cycles on Dracula. Like oh my god, like it was just like one of those moments. Like that's probably like the best achievement, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's a huge thing. It's it's funny we were talking about people like crying and stuff on the world records earlier, talking about the hot records section. I was talking to my wife about it, and she's like, "Why are they doing that?" Because like she supports speedrunning and everything, but she doesn't quite get it. It's like why does Jordan cry when he's holding the trophy? Like obviously it's not it's not the finals, but I mean it's an emotional thing, and obviously it can can be even more emotional for various reasons, like you said. So
You had to go with Jordan, huh, Stormy?
yeah, come on. I can't say Reggie. I can't say Reggie Miller holding the trophy, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I can't say Malone or Stockton either. So
yeah, I guess Bobby, you can say LeBron, but
yeah.
or is that a complicated relationship? Or
no, he did good by us. I mean, like we got one. That's fine.
All right,
that's fine.
Right.
Thank you for your service, LeBron.
Right.
Right.
You got any other speedrun plans here soon? What are you thinking about running in the future? I know you're still trying to improve your CV4 time, which has been a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, what?
That game is so hard. That game is extremely hard. I really want to start branching out of retro. Like I want to like visit a couple of games that like I also like enjoyed like as a teenager, like growing up. Like there's a couple of Kingdom Hearts games that I was like looking at. There's a couple of action game 3D action platformer games. Crash Bandicoot, especially since apparently Crash 4 got leaked. Sorry if you didn't want to hear about that.
Oh, really?
I
didn't know.
I still do want to return a little bit to retro. I picked up a couple of games from 16 that I wanted to run. Like I'm gonna be running. Author Blues loves that. And
what was that? Sorry, you cut out.
Aladdin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Which version?
Yeah. Super Nintendo.
Okay.
So for Super 6, yeah, I took a couple of the games from Super 16. I really want to learn Lost Levels because like I just feel like I should just learn a Mario game just to learn a Mario game.
Sure.
Like there's a lot of these talented speedrunners doing that Mario NES that like I just couldn't even like think of touching. What with these frame rules and all that, like, ugh. But having like an infinite library of Super Nintendo games to run and like having like a really distinct community for each and every one of them, like it really gets me like happily anxious, eager to like explore what I could possibly like. It's really, really hard for me to like stick to a speed game that I don't like immediately fall in love with,
Right.
which is extreme, which is why it's like kind of puzzling why I managed to pick up Super Castlevania 4, just because like again, like I didn't grow up with it as a kid. People were telling me it was a really hard game, so it's like I ended up playing it like a month back and like just fell in love with it. So
yeah, it seems right up your alley.
It needs to be one of those times,
Right. Yeah, it's hard trying to pick a new game, and then I mean, at least for me, part of it is like once I've invested any time in it, it's like, all right, I'm at least going to get an okay time because I don't want to throw this all away.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, best of luck and picking one that works for you. A little birdie told me you were thinking about Magic the Gathering Chandelar too.
Oh my god!
Is that right? the hottest game of 2020.
Does anyone here run this? Do you run that game?
I ran it. I'm not in last place.
You ran it. Ran it.
I ran it. I'm not in last place.
That sounds like you're near last place.
No.
Look,
can neither confirm nor deny.
Stormy, do you want to sell me on Chandelar real quick?
No, it's just fun.
Okay.
I mean, it's a fun game. We'll talk about it later, but it's more fun. It's more fun to meme on than anything. But just
I'm all for the memes. I'm all for the memes. Like again, like when it comes to like the stream personality, you kind of got to lean into that like a little bit. Oh, like are you gonna ever play Sonic Spinball?
Hey, don't be talking bad about Sonic Spinball now.
Oh, here we go. Oh, come on, I thought
a little birdie told me. That, all right, I'm sorry. Right on. Well, yeah, like I said, best of luck in that. Now something we always try and ask our guests 3 questions, which we already covered. How'd you get into speedrunning influences? What's your all-time favorite speed game? If you had to pick, if you got to pick 2, that's fine. And then just casual game. Let the viewers know. Tell
a favorite speed game and a favorite casual game.
Yeah.
I cannot stress enough that Castlevania Symphony of the Night is a near perfect speed game. There are a myriad of categories. All of them are extremely fast and like well within maybe like 30-40 minutes. the longer categories, you get to explore like more of the castle. The game is just like extremely good to get lost in as well. Like I could play this as a casual experience or a speed running, any day.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was like the original like adventure Vania, and with it giving you like a whole bunch of things. Yeah, it's really good to play casually, but also learning what's like best for a certain situation, how to route things out, how to bounce back if you make a mistake, and and honestly the easy reset. Like it's so easy to like reset and just like dive into another attempt when it comes to Castlevania. And everything's just like so fast and a little bit light on the RNG side. I will admit. So like
That's
the
not the
game
worst
rewards
thing. Yeah.
it rewards good execution. It rewards consistency. Like I really like that game for a speed game.
So so is that your favorite casual too, or?
No, I'll pick another one. I won't
Okay,
cheat.
just for fun. I mean, that's fine if it is, but yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it is, but also like there's like other games that like I just like grew up with. Like I didn't really get into like JRPGs until I was a teenager, but also Final Fantasy X I've kept with me like my entire life. I don't think I would dream of speedrunning that game because one, it's 10 hours.
Yeah.
Like, like that's just it. Like most people don't even stream for 10 hours.
Right.
And then secondly, like I feel like it. Now I don't think it's true for like other games, and I'm extremely like biased on this, but I feel like it just kind of like ruins the magic for me because I already up with it as a as a casual game. I got so invested in all the cutscenes. I got invested in building my characters the way that I wanted them to. I got so obsessed with min-maxing at the end game and the post game. I don't want to read a guide for 10 hours learning how to speedrun Fantasy 10.
Yeah, I can see how an RPG would be easier to kind of ruin it, by speedrunning it too.
Like it, props to everyone that does. And I honestly do think that the Final Fantasy or RPG speedrun extremely magical. I love watching them. I just like personally couldn't do it myself. Like FFX is like my favorite casual game.
Right on. And then so yeah, our third question. So that counted as one, by the way. Favorite childhood gaming memory. What's something that sticks out with you? Jesus Christ. We're gonna edit this down before it goes on YouTube. Let's go.
My favorite childhood gaming moment. All right, this isn't like my favorite one, but it's a pretty funny one, so I'll share this.
Sure.
It is 1998, and Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time came out, and on my block I was pretty hot shit for me being 5 years old, and I'm thinking, I'm sorry, I got the 64, I got I got the goods, extra controllers. What's good?
Got juice boxes.
I was living in an apartment complex at the time, and I would have, or sorry, there were a family friend that came over and had like this daughter. She was I think 17, and I was 5, but she thought I was like extremely like adorable, or maybe she just wanted to play my Ocarina of Time. But I spent the entire day with her, like just playing Ocarina of Time, and when it's time for like everyone to like go home, she's like ready to retire. She's like, oh yeah, this is fun. I think I'm gonna head up, go to bed, or like something like that. I think I'm just gonna leave. She's literally like next door. I stand up. I go, are you sure? And I hold out the game not GameCube, the 64 controller like right in front of her, and she's like, oh, I wish I could, but yada yada yada, gotta go. There's always tomorrow, and or next weekend. I'm like, well, how about I just kiss you on the mouth then? I'm thinking it was like a first date.
Yeah.
My mom hears this shit from like all the way in the bedroom. She comes stomping out, gives me the most like extreme like WTF face. This girl's like astounded by what I said, but also, it's a 5-year-old.
Right.
She kind of left it to my mom to, do a little bit of like the learning and like the punishment. But I don't know why. I mean, it is a pretty, distinct memory for 5 years old. I don't know why I would remember that, but I think that's like hilarious. Like I got whooped for that. Like
Embarrassment's a hell of a drug. Yeah.
early AF lesson in courtship.
That's awesome.
And you married her several years later, I assume.
I don't know where Brittany went.
Brittany, come back.
I don't know where Mom Amy went, but I miss him.
Well, if you're out there.
If only she could see me now. Future Twitch partner, Gordon Dare.
Maybe she's a Twitch partner too.
Yeah.
Crazier things have happened.
And
And I gotta ask too, because I know I think you were talking on stream the other day. You were saying that you actually like gamed with you said your mom and your grandma back in the day as well.
That was how I got raised on video games. Born in '93, and I guess in order to keep me out of trouble, or as a reward, I just got like a SNES and like a couple games, and like the first batch of games that I got was like Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario World, and All Stars. A lot of these games that kind of had like 2-player competitive or cooperative components.
Mm-hmm.
So another good gaming memory. I guess we can go into this.
Yeah, you can do another one.
Yeah, would be like gaming with my parents. Well, my dad was absent my entire life, but like 2 parents were mom and grandma, and they would play video games with me, and they like it. They wouldn't just play with me just to like get me complacent. Like they were actually like into the games themselves. We would race to like the end of the game and like Super Mario All Stars, like Mario 1 and all stuff, and like they'd be going through the level, and I'm just kind of like crossing my arms, just kind of like watching. Then they hand me the controller, and then it's it's 1-2. I started using like these warp pipes to stage 5 and all that stuff. They're like, "What are you doing? You are cheating,
dirty glitcher."
Such a cheating son. In Spanish. Like, my mom and grandma were Puerto Rican, so they were extremely uppity about getting swindled out of their first place. But yeah, that's a really good memory right there. Playing games with the parents and just having a good time.
That's beautiful.
That's what I was raised on, and right before the year that my grandma passed away was 2016, which was when I was able to perform for Sgdq. Before she was able to pass away, I was able to show her like a little bit of like what I've been doing, and the performance. Like I showed her like the YouTube VOD and like everything, and like kind of showed her like a little bit of like how that childhood had affected me, and like because I really wanted to turn it into something. I don't know, something more than just lazing about with video games.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's making me have feelings. What are these feelings?
Yeah. It's always a good memory, and memory of grandma is always like she's just such a sweet saint, and she always like meant well, whether it taught me through like video games or through religion or spirituality. We'll get into that.
Sure.
Or I'll get into that on like a future stream, I'm sure. But
yeah, I know personally. Yeah, like my dad's no longer with us, and I know that's something that always pulls me back. That we shared with gaming and stuff too. So I can definitely understand. That's cool. You got to show her. Well, right on. Well, I mean, we're gonna jump into some viewer questions here in a minute. Now, I will say, we touched on some of this, but and you can talk on it as much or as little as you want to, but just being a person of color, being black, and streaming, and speedrunning, can you talk a little bit about that? About maybe what, and just in life too, just what challenges you face. What this movement means to you now. Once again, as much or as little as you want to say. I think it's important we hear from you.
Well, I mean, the TLDR of it is ever since. Let's see how do I say this? Like when I was born into this world, I was. Let's just say that, and I don't really want to shift any attention on me, like personally, but like any person of color that was born is kind of at a disadvantage because of just straight needless prejudice, hatred, not understanding, so we hate them or we fear them, or whatever sort of like inane reason that they would give. Like growing up, I was like, I didn't really like know much about it, specifically like because like again like my father was like absent from my life. I didn't really have anyone to like teach me about being black. That's pretty much like how I can plainly see it, or plainly say it. It wasn't until like later that I had to like really educate myself, and especially like when going through school and hearing about and reading about all this shit in like history textbooks of like why we're black people, why were people of a darker color or a different color, or anything like that, why were they treated as lesser. And the history books taught it like it was like it ended like, oh, by the way, emancipation, and now everyone is, but that's literally not what it means.
Right.
When it comes to like me actually going out into the outside world, I started to see things a lot differently, especially when I graduated high school, started taking up like little like jobs and like all that stuff. I would always be like looked past when it came to opportunities for advancement. I would always be treated like second rate when it came to customers, when it came to people that felt entitled. I did get called slurs like during my time in the workforce. Like it's a thing, but it shouldn't be a thing, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't really in tune with it through my childhood, because I like kind of like lived in that sort of like like low income, like shacky area, and I didn't really like see anything of like the outside world. Yeah, I might TV shows and all that stuff, but like I just thought like this is just like how it was. And then like when my eyes opened like a little bit, like it's a really stark realization, especially for someone that like hadn't had like again like the talk about like like how you were so like disadvantaged. High school wasn't really much of a thing either, because like every black or a person of color, so that's fine. But again, it was like workforce, or even like certain social circles in real life, or where you just kind of like don't feel right, or you just kind of like feel out of place. Now, those are just like really minor instances and really minor like feelings of mine that were multiplied exponentially once 2020 hit for like some reason.
Yeah.
Felt like because like like couple of years ago, or 10 years ago, or 100, like that could have been like the perfect time to do this. But like I don't know why it was why this was like the breaking point for me. Like we've had groups and people chanting and shouting Black Lives Matter for like the longest time. Like why now?
That's a good question.
Yeah, exactly. So like me at a disadvantage because I don't really like know much because I never really got like a talk, and all I got and all I had were like things that I like read up on the internet or read through like books or like things that I researched myself. I felt extremely like I don't know like bad like I should be like like doing something more. I feel like the older that I got, like I had that little bit of like a realization. Like the older I got, the more like I guess aware you are of things that are going on around you and affecting people, that are like that are of your skin color or that are disadvantaged like you are. So,
Sure.
I mean, what it like what the whole movement is that like well, first, I don't think it's I think it's a movement, but I think it's just like a straight on war, like not only for like our rights but like human rights, because like even the people that fight for us are getting battered, are getting snatched, are getting I don't really want to like go like too deep into it, but like very visceral things are like happening, and the only way that we can get this to stop is if we don't stop fighting.
Yeah, and things are happening. There's definitely positive outcomes so far. So I think that's encouraging to see. But yeah,
I've been encouraged by seeing action all over the country personally. For me, like you said, Bobby, the history books to me felt so distant, so long ago, or it's in, I don't know, Birmingham, Alabama. It's very far away from me. But seeing protests here in my little, Salt Lake City seems so distant from all that, and yet it's happening here, And so then you have, I heard a Black Lives Matter activist here in Salt Lake City say, when this crowd is here and you're chanting Black Lives Matter, you're telling me that my life matters, and that means everything to me.
Yeah,
that's so important.
There hasn't ever been like such a force of support or an allyship than like what we have now with like people that like aren't of our color. Like there are people that are willing to risk themselves, put themselves in not like the very same position, but in a really grave position, like much like us, in order to say that this isn't right. Not throwing any punches, not waving firearms around or anything like that. Just by saying it, just by saying things ain't right. Like it's incredibly insane that this is an issue that to begin with. It's everywhere. You're right. It's everywhere. It's even around the world. People are demonstrating. It's even people in our community, the retro community, the speedrun community that are out there, demonstrating. Once you take stock of the fact that like this is happening like close to you more than you, then that's when it really starts to hit you. Like something's got to be done. Yeah, like you can watch my my stop and cease run like speech at the end. I didn't really want that to be a speech, but I wanted to say something like that because like people needed a wake up call. Like, yeah, this is a really good fight that we're fighting. We got to be positive and push on, but also we have to be, we have to remember why we're doing this, and it's a really grim reality.
Yeah. Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. I mean, for that speech from Stop and Cease. That was so powerful, man.
Yeah, and thanks for talking about it with us here on our podcast too.
Yeah, no worries. Like I feel like if this isn't a comfortable enough subject to talk about, good. Because like again, this is a really stark reality, a grim reality, and probably suffering the same way that many other people. Like it doesn't refute the fact that shit like this is still going on. I'm sorry for dropping the S-bomb, but
oh no, you're fine, man. PG-13 movies, you get like at least 5 or 6 shits.
I got 2 left. All right, cool.
Yeah. Right on. Any other final thoughts? I mean, thoughts about in relation to streaming, speedrunning? If not, no worries.
I've had a lot of people like that have had my back for the better part of like 5 years when pursuing content creation, streaming on Twitch or like, you know, putting videos up on YouTube or like things like. And all I really want to say is for the new person that is trying to, you know, make a brand of themselves, and as cheesy as it might seem, but like you can't, you really just can't like give up. Like what you can do is do like, you know, like research and like all that stuff, but like when you're taking on a hobby and trying to make it into something more, like it's a grind. And honestly, if you feel like the grind feels like a little bit of work and takes a lot away from the hobby, then and you want to kind of like preserve the purity of that hobby, then it might not be the best. But for those that still want to stick with it, and or for those that just want to like, you know, click go live and find a community, like just keep at it, and then, you know, the people will just come to you, especially when it comes to like retro, especially when it comes to like speed running, especially when it comes to like, you know, like fighting games, because like we're all like little like niche communities like in the end, and we all like, you know, want to find more people like us, especially in this time where we can't physically hang out with anyone else
Right.
safely.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like never give up. Like it's extremely cheesy to say, but like I've been at this for like literally like four or 5 years, like on and on. You know, like some people see like the success in like, you know, overnight. Some others got to like work like a little bit harder. Like I don't. I mean, like whatever factors may have been barring me from, you know, that stuff like earlier, like it's past. You know, it's in the past now.
Yeah, well, you
So, yeah,
deserve it, man. You got a good thing going on.
you know, and especially for like the folks that are like, you know, like speed running and and are pulling in like 30 and 40. Like I was telling, we were talking a little bit before the show. Like I was at like 30, 40, like earlier this year, like before ESA, and that was like with like all these GDQ performances and special guest cameos, like all that stuff. So like as long as you don't really worry about that stuff and don't let it like, you know, don't dwell on it, don't let it drag you down, and just kind of like keep ahead of you. And especially if you have a community to foster and kind of like care for, then you'll make it. You'll find your own like, you know, sense of success with whatever you want to do.
Hell yeah. Yeah, and Zorilla, partner 2021, late 2020 on that note. We'll see. But no, we're pushing for Bobby first, then I'm coming after Zorilla.
Exactly. We got a lot of people to push first.
Right. Yeah. Two Snack JSR. Who else we got? Shout out.
Yep.
Right on.
Agree. Takata.
2chan.
Yeah, it's crazy right now.
Quick couple shout outs.
Yeah, throw some shout outs.
Yeah. Shout outs to 2chan. 2chan has been one of my first friends that I've met at a GDQ, and she has been nothing but like supportive and nothing but like the bomb.com. Shout outs to 2Snack. 2Snack, again, Castlevania world record holder, extremely like chill guy. Shout outs to like the Vania crew. Again, I've been like trying to speed run Castlevania 4. I've seen people in there and like, you know, like finding something to like within the channel, like more than CV4. So like, you know, bless you guys for that. You know, the Vania crew, classic Mega Man crew, and then honestly, like, you know, the Black Brigade, and you guys for having me on, because like this has been nothing short of a blast. Like like I love talking shop with you guys.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I've had a good time too.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a decent amount of viewer questions too. So let's run through these real quick before my brain completely stops working. So Serial, I feel like there's some number. I forgot to write the numbers down. Serial asked, is it hard to switch from playing competitive fighting games to speedrunning?
I'd say that I always like to try to translate what Yeah, I always try to like translate like methods and tools that I use to learn things in fighting games to like the speed runs. Like when it came to like, like frame perfectness and like frame windows and like all that stuff, like it was really easy to like, get a hold of because I was part of the fighting game community and like I kind of knew what like how frames worked. But I think it's pretty much like similar. You're trying to attempt like a long string of inputs in order to get to an end result faster. Whether it be a combo or whether it be a frame perfect zip, like in like Mega Man, like sometimes you nail it, sometimes you don't. But if it kind of feels like the same, like through and through, and it feels all the more rewarding once you pull it off in both genres.
So you feel like you could just, be speed running, put the controller down, and hop into a fighting game and feel pretty comfortable?
Maybe not a fighting game, like maybe at the start Street Fighter or something that I'm familiar with. But...
So no Clay Fighter. That came up earlier in your stream, right? Sculptor's Cut, baby. All right, and then 40 watt range. What up, 40? What drives you? What is your overall goal with gaming/streaming? Why are you such a happy dude? A good happy dude. 3-parter.
Well, let me get this out of the way. I am not a. I mean, like the what makes streaming great is and what makes me want to keep streaming. I think I explained a little bit earlier is like just like finding that community, engaging with people, and finding like a fellowship, sort of like a common ground. Like you and I might not be like 100% alike, but we got good fighting games, like or we got good speed games and all that stuff. So and we like the same stuff. When it comes to like my goals, I really just want to like again, like for the Black Brigade, for like the tournaments and events that I host, is like fostering a community, making sure that everyone is okay and good, making sure everyone's having a good time. Again, I'm a people pleaser. Like, I mean, obviously, like I will be continuing to do things that I like to do, but I just like to make sure that everyone's having a good time and everyone's okay, and we're all enjoying like the same content together.
Yeah,
I think that's about it. Why am I such a happy dude? So like
a good happy dude. A good happy dude.
Right, a good happy dude. I try to be good because like I wasn't like there's always been like some things I've been kind of like not like guilty of, but like things that like I felt like I could be doing more, things that I could be doing in general. So like if you do good, you'll feel good. And for the last like decade or so, I've been feeling good, like doing the whole charity thing, doing helping people out with like mental health advocacy, like finding and instilling a happiness and a good vibe in people is like what kind of keeps me going. Like if you're having a good time, I'm having a good time. If I'm having a good time and you're not having a good time, then I'm doing something wrong.
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, I think you answered that question perfectly, actually.
Here.
Let's get to the next one though. KLM 1187 actually asked something that I think we kind of already covered, which was about the skills and techniques from the fighting games and how they transferred over to speedrunning. If you have anything else to add to that, go ahead. He also asked, why is smart food the best 2 a.m. snack?
I'll touch smart food. I'm not even awake at 2 a.m.
He said it was like a Sgdq inside joke or something.
I'll touch a little bit more on like fighting game like translation, especially when it comes to like when you're either like doing like races or you're kind of like competing in real time against somebody. There's always that. Yeah, I'll go back to like my Sgdq 2016 example where you kind of like feel at home with kind of having like pressure being put on you like in the heat of the moment, you know, when you're doing that tournament match or when you're doing that race. That sort of like drive, that sort of you know, kind of like fire, like really like, you know, kind of kept me going. Like indirect competition is nice, but like when something kind of hits home like that, the Slurpee Ninja versus me race at 18, like there was like no compare to like how I felt that day. And like, because like it was for charity, but it was a race and I won, and like it was like, you know, it was like its whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, just kind of like training, especially grinding like a stage or grinding a combo over and over, kind of feels like the same thing. You have like, you know, save states to like load up for certain situations. Like dog, if you want like a college thesis on like how similar like training for fighting games is for, you know, with training for a speed run, then like I could do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool that so many people kind of wondered about that. I wonder if there are people who, you know, maybe would like to try some fighting games and wonder how that crossover goes.
There was a bit of a, I think it was like in 2016 or 2017, Golden SR kind of tossed a Street Fighter 5 tournament. This is kind of like how I got the kind of drive to start up the Black Cup again. Was that I saw it was like a Street Fighter 5 fighting game bracket hosted online, streamed by him, but made, you know, entirely of speedrunners. And like
really?
that was extremely like, yo, you mean these dudes play my games too? Like,
yeah,
that's sick.
Like it's super sick. Like I love like the melding of like the two communities, and again, like just figuring out that we're alike is just enthralling.
Yeah, I saw cool. El Rock in your chat today too. That gets me because I know he comes from a fighting background and beat 'em ups and everything.
El Rock is extremely proficient Tekken player. That was I think it was like AGDQ 2017 where I got to, you know, first talk with him about it, because he had a Heihachi hat, like one of the main antagonists of Tekken. He had a Heihachi hat on his head, so I kind of like pointed it out, and then like honestly, the way to my heart is fighting games, so it's like we just vibed from there on in.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to do some homework before I meet you at the next GDQ. I don't know. I don't know stuff. I don't know where we're at on the S count.
Yeah, we're getting close, I think. All right, there's one more here from Lat Mackey, another previous guest here.
Yo, shout out to Lat Mackey.
Yeah. Questions, two-parter. How do you prepare for marathons, and what are your future plans for speedrunning? Some other games coming up you want to talk about?
How do I prepare for a marathon run? So I'm extremely lazy. I don't do practice until like the very like last day. But I will only like, I feel like I will only like strictly play that game. Like I don't want to like mess my execution or my muscle memory up thinking about like another game. Like I'll throw AGDQ 2016 as an example. My run was on Friday. I got in there on Wednesday. I don't think I like talked with like anyone for like for like a day like before like the run actually like happened. But it's a lot easier now to you know be focused and practicing than ever, just because of you know the sort of tools that are made available to you. I mean, there are like save states for different emulators, and also like, you know, classic collections like Castlevania Classic Collection has like save states and like reload and all that stuff. Like really good things to like, you know, grind out practices in quick succession.
Practice ROMs? What the hell?
Oh, yeah, we got those too. Or, you know, load up the cheat engine, go infinite.
I want practice ROMs for my games.
Yeah. Well, what games do you run? Maybe we can stoke like some sort of like bounty. I do kind of like that idea.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. The games I run really probably don't need them, but what, you know, I'm just jealous.
You practice ROM when?
Right? Yeah. See the elusive level 99. What'd you say?
He said, "Give me one for Chandelar, and I'll."
We'll talk. We'll talk.
And then future plans for speedrunning. Again, I picked up games from Super 16. I'm going to be digging into Aladdin a little bit. Going to be digging into Super Nintendo Lost Levels. And maybe quite possibly picking up my first RPG speedrun as well.
Nice. Yeah, that's right. I forgot you mentioned 2 of those before.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you, viewers. Yeah, we really appreciate people submitting questions, submitting news, records, whatever. It's kind of hard to keep up on all that stuff too. So we really want to foster community involvement with the podcast. This is all for fun and spread the love of what we do. So I'm gonna go ahead and change to screens. And Bobby, man, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody, the viewers. We had a ton of subs, ton of follows tonight. The support has been fantastic. Zarilla, Bobby, any final words from you?
Yeah, just a great discussion tonight. Thanks a lot, Bobby. I really, really appreciated chatting with you tonight, and look forward to seeing those runs.
Dude, thank you guys so much for having me on. This has been nothing short of a blast. Love to be on for a distant future episode. But sure, thanks to everyone that's been, following through the journey. Thanks for everyone that submitted the questions. They were extremely fun to answer and kind of turn my gears about. And if you have any questions, if you want to come to me for literally anything, feel free to just hit me up. My Twitter DMs are always open. My Discord is the Black Brigade, easily searchable.
Cool.
And yeah, I hope you guys have a blessed night.
You as well, sir. And then don't forget to like us on YouTube, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thank you again to our mods too. I saw Shar was in here dropping links earlier. Thank you, Shar. Mm-hmm. We're gonna go visit JSR as we talked about. We want to try and support the people we know that are pushing for partner, and JSR streaming, so go give him a follow, a view, click on his name, make sure you get rid of that referral for the raid so he gets the viewer count. And much love, everyone. Thanks again, Bobby. We'll see you next month.
See you guys. Take care.
So long.